Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Game Over Winnipeg. My name, of course, is Brady. I will be hosting for you guys tonight on a night where the Jets faced off. We have the Jets 2.0 facing off against the Jets 1.0. Both teams in a little bit of a different situation coming into this game. Obviously, the Coyotes were on a 8-game losing streak. They're like 29th in the league. The Winnipeg Jets 1 point out of being top of the Western Conference, top of the Central. And after tonight's win, baby, top of the West. Ladies and gentlemen, the Winnipeg Jets. Who thought we would ever get here this year? Obviously, it's been a long year of realizing our team is actually pretty good. Shout out Rick Bowness. We would never have gotten here without him. I'm happy. Wasn't exactly the perfect game by the Jets here tonight in comparison, especially to the game they had against Pittsburgh, and tonight had the making of a trap game. The classic, you come off of a really big win against a difficult opponent, and then come into a game where you're facing off against one of the worst teams in the league. You're finally back home. You're worried the guys are going to take the night off. And I'll be honest with you, I do not think the Jets did whatsoever. I see already the first comment in chat here by David W. A win's a win, but man, that game was close. I hope to be back in 10 to 15 minutes or so, but even if I'm not, I congratulate the Jets on a well-earned win. Now on to a long road trip where first stop is the Bell Center to face the Habs, followed by the Leafs 2 days later and the Sens and Flyers next weekend. I agree. It was a pretty close game, especially coming down to the wire. But I actually think that this game by the Jets was actually pretty good. Like I'll be honest with you, I can't complain too much. There's a few things I absolutely would, if I'm the coach, I'm bringing up in the video room the next day. But I thought tonight was a pretty good showing by our Winnipeg Jets. Before we jump into the game breakdown, I think you know which way it's going to go. Make your bet with Sports Interaction. Whether it's hockey, football, or basketball, Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pregame, live, and play on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all the sports betting has to offer. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19+. Please play responsibly. Just give me a moment. Can have a sip of water. Alrighty. Start up the game. Winnipeg Jets first period. I always love bringing up the quotes that we hear in intermission, and Nate Schmidt came out in between the first intermission and second intermission, and he said, and I quote, it might be a little bit off. I tried to write it as best I could. We had a chat, and we wanted to focus on coming out hard in first periods. So he's not describing just specifically this game, but it seems like this has been kind of a topic of discussion in the Jets room as of late, and it really showed here tonight. The Jets first period tonight I thought was fantastic. I mean the shots were 12-4 in the first period, which included a 4-minute penalty that, of course, the Jets killed off because the Jets penalty kill has been fantastic. Also, the Arizona Coyotes, not the greatest power play team in the league, of course. But even diving in past the shots, the numbers there. Again, I think only 2 of the shots of those 4 shots were actually even strength. 2 of which were on the power play, of course. But other than that, like the Jets came out and they were clicking. Like the one-touch passes. There was I think 3 or 4 segments in a row where the Jets just were hammering the offense on. It just seemed like they were in complete control of this game, which they should be. Again, this is a team which is now the top of the West facing against the 29th overall team in the league. They should run the Coyotes show. Let's be honest here. Obviously, you can't always expect that. Every team has a chance to win in this league, so it's not a given. The Jets can't just pencil this in as, a scheduled win, even though, they should. But but like I said, the Jets came up big in the first period. The penalty kill was fantastic. Only one pretty decently big save was kind of needed, and it was just a nice little pad save that Hellebuck made. the both the top lines. Oh my god, geez. Tonight was just when you're playing a team like Arizona, who may not be the best, structurally, may not be the best skill wise with their players. Tonight was a night where I was sitting here going, I feel like the second line is going to cook tonight, just because not having one of their biggest issues, the Scheifele, Perfetti, Wheeler lines, is that they sometimes have issue getting in the zone and establishing that possession. That shouldn't be an issue against the Arizona Coyotes, and it wasn't tonight for them at all. As soon as they got into the zone, they were passing it around like they were playing with like they were playing a rec hockey team almost. I wouldn't disrespect the Coyotes by saying that exactly, but that's where my brain went as I'm talking here. But yeah, like this first period, the Jets came out swinging. Josh Morrissey was involved in so many plays. Again, in that row of a bunch of segments over and over again, he was constantly the fourth forward in on it. There was a nice one-timer to Scheifele. Obviously doesn't go into the net, but it is what it is. The Jets played great in the first period. I really can't harp on them. The only one thing I wasn't maybe particularly 100% on board with, some of their shot selection was a little bit rough. There's a couple times where like Sandberg would walk in and kind of take, while they're kind of really pressing on the Coyotes, they would kind of take shots that kind of killed the momentum that they were kind of gathering. But other than that, again, like that's a really nitpicky thing to say. But like I said, a fantastic first period, really great. The first period ends with Mark Scheifele drawing a penalty, and then they get 40 seconds on the power play, go to intermission. Again, Nate Schmidt has a nice little quote there saying that they've been really trying to focus on their first periods, which actually I can kind of attest to. They have been a lot better in the first period, whereas start of the year they were much better in the second. Was usually their best period. Maybe after Bones would come in and give them a bit of a wake up, but yeah, again, great first period. Second period was really, really weird. Obviously it starts off with the power play goal, where Pierre-Luc Dubois scores his 20th of the year. He tipped in a shot from Josh Morrissey. Really great play on this power play. The power play has looked really great since they've kind of switched to, first of all, since Ehlers has come back. I'm going to talk about him a little bit later. As well as they've kind of switched to having the 1-3-1 kind of setup, where you've got Pierre-Luc Dubois in front of the net, Mark Scheifele in the middle, which, by the way, Mark Scheifele should always be in the slot. That is where he's a quick shooter, quick, accurate. He's not a big wind-up guy. I love him in the middle of the ice. That's exactly where I want him. Kyle Connor on the right side, ready for one-timers from Josh Morrissey, and Nick Ehlers on his strong side, where he can take passes, skate in, create some disruption, create some movement. A fantastic goal. Again, goes after Morrissey gets an initial shot. Kyle Connor does a really good job about corralling the puck, passing it up to Morrissey. Morrissey makes a nice little give and go with Nick Ehlers. Smart of him to give it back to Morrissey. Morrissey just rips it, does what he's been doing all season long. And Pierre-Luc Dubois has the most nonchalant tip goal. Again, his 20th of the season, which is not a milestone he's surpassed too many times. He's smashed that this year. He's been absolutely fantastic, of course, in a contract year. We're also going to talk about him a little bit later. Yeah, great start to the to that power play. Was really happy with it. And then what happened after that was, maybe 10 minutes of the second period where the Coyotes were absolutely unable to do anything. Like it just seemed like the first 10 minutes of the second period, the Coyotes couldn't get, they had no shots until about halfway through, which I'll get to in a moment. But other than that, even when they would get the puck and get the possession in the offensive zone, it felt like it was such meaningless possession. Like every single time that they would actually get it in the Jets' defensive zone, the Jets were really quick to get on them and separate them from the puck and get the puck back up ice. I really think the Jets did really well with their breakouts tonight. So I was very happy with how the team did on that front. And then, of course, we get halfway through the first period, and who is it? Clayton Keller scores one of the most bizarre-looking goals I've seen all year. Just an absolute defensive breakdown. And this one, honestly, like, as I'm sitting here, like obviously I'm supposed to be critical of the Jets. I wanted them to improve. And this one I couldn't help but just like laugh. It just seems so uncharacteristic in just the way that everything fell apart, as well as I don't know. This felt like not necessarily a one-off, but like this type of breakdown is not common to the Jets. They have a lot of defensive breakdowns, but this just like, I don't know. It was like a bomb went off and just bodies went flying everywhere. Obviously, the Coyotes are coming into the zone. They make a nice little kind of drop pass to Clayton Keller, who's the third forward into the zone. The two Coyotes players go to the left side of the net where Dylan DeMello and who was it? Morgan Barron are covering both of them. Everybody hits the deck and falls. The absolute yard sale. Hellebuyck comes out real far to play the shot from Clayton Keller. He makes a really nice move, waits on him, kind of goes to the outside. Lowry does a last-ditch effort to try and, get himself in the way, but alas, the game is tied 1-1 in a game where again, like I said, the Jets have kind of dominated up until this point. So there was no reason to really worry too much. But moving on to the rest of the second period, things were kind of weird. I thought that the Jets did pretty decently to keep with it and not do or like not fall behind too much. I think that they do sometimes have problems with momentum swings. I thought they did okay tonight. It seemed after that goal, the entire second period was completely different. It's not like the Coyotes were producing crazy chances here and there, but they definitely were much better. Of course, but then before the end of the period, we get one of the classic passing play goals from that second line, the Scheifele, Wheeler, and Perfetti line. I still think that something needs to be different there. I still feel weird having both Perfetti and Wheeler on the same line, considering they're both passers. But hey, that's kind of how you lead to a goal like this, where as they're breaking into the zone, Blake Wheeler kind of starts it off, gets in, passes it off to Mark Scheifele, who comes in, sees a streak in Cole Perfetti, passes it off to him. He goes down low, and Perfetti kind of looks for the shot in the slot, is kind of unable to get it. So he tries to move to the side, and the Coyotes defense actually played him pretty well here. And he kind of lost his footing a little bit, but he does the smart play and gets it back to Mark Scheifele. Scheifele, who's, after Perfetti's kind of anchored everyone down towards the goal line in the Arizona zone, Scheifele makes a beautiful pass over to Blake Wheeler, and you guys all saw Blake Wheeler sitting there laughing like he was really enjoying himself off that goal. He could kind of tell that he was like, what the I guess that was kind of a little ridiculous, but a goal's a goal. But yeah, and then like I said, the rest of the period happens, and the Coyotes had one more kind of onslaught of attacks near the end of the period. Luckily, the Jets come out of it unscathed. And then the third period, which I am a little conflicted on. I feel like I often say that I'm conflicted because I sometimes struggle to really take a stance unless I'm like so vehemently like, this is what I believe in. Excuse me, catch my breath real quick. But yeah, the third period was pretty good. Main thing I was looking here was to see how the Jets could lock this down. Obviously, you'd love to get an insurance goal, but not allowing a second goal is the biggest priority. And the third period started out not great. There's the first initial one where Dylan Samberg tries to flip the puck out, kind of like a weird flip pass play. I'm not sure which Coyote it was, but he blocked it. Samberg has no idea where the puck is. Nate Schmidt's already starting to streak down the boards to give him an option. And and the Coyotes get a very, very lucrative chance in front of Connor Hellebuyck. Connor Hellebuyck, of course, best goalie in the league. Connor Vesnabuck comes up big. And then there was another one that happened almost right away again. Luckily, again, two big saves. This is why you have Connor Hellebuyck. This is why the Jets are able to rely on him, is because he's such a game changer for the Jets. Luckily, nothing happens. There was the one rebound where it went kind of guy shot it, came out, and then he shoots it again and hits the post. It looked like Hellebuyck made a really nice save. Luckily, he thanks his friend the post And like I said, it still remains a 2-1 game. Rest of the period kind of goes on the power play. Again, the Jets looked pretty good. Pierre-Luc Dubois had 2 or 3 real nice chances there. He hits the post. My one little criticism is I would love to see Cole Perfetti shooting a little bit more. They only really had 1 shot on the power play, but again, this period felt more like it was about locking it down rather than, outscoring your problems, which is kind of an issue we've seen from the Jets all year. So I'm glad they kind of committed to that. But continuing on, the Jets are able to hold it out. And there you go. 2 points in the win column. A 2-1 game. The Jets don't win a ton or the Jets don't always keep it in a low scoring game. They're going to have to learn how to win low scoring games. Obviously, against the Coyotes, you would hope for more than just a low scoring game on the Jets side of things. But keeping them down to only 1 goal against was very big. Alrighty, I'm going to take a look at the chat here, see if anyone, some other comments here. Beer League tied with Toronto at 3rd place in the NHL. Tell Steve Winnipeg is Canada's team. Oh boy, I will be telling him. We're going to be having Steve Dangle on the show on Thursday. I think Liz will also be joining us, but you'll definitely be getting at least me and him here. It is, it's going to be a fun one. Steve and I like to go at each other when we play NHL, always chirping each other. So I'm really excited for the smack talk. David replies to Beer League, says, I see the Jets as a near playoff lock, a near lock to see playoff action in April, and the Leafs in a similar position. Should they have, for starters, a better week than either of the previous 2? I would definitely agree. Yeah, the Jets, in my opinion, are this is the year for, this is the year right now for the Jets, and next year might also be the year. But I think this is the year where the Jets really do need to push everything into the middle and say we're going for it, because the vibes around this team are great. The West is kind of wide open. I'm really excited to see what they can do come playoff time, as well as trade deadline time. I'm excited to see how Chevy uses his phones. Let me just read through the last ones. David W. again, I see by contrast the Alberta team's odds of playing games beyond mid-April as coin flips, with the Sens, Canucks, and Habs likely to see their seasons end after 82 regular season games. Yeah, no, exactly. I agree. And then one which I'll comment on real quick here. Great game by the Jets. This is from Andrea Kohich. Great game by the Jets. Arizona goalie always plays great against the Jets. What is up with Karel Vejmelka? This guy could genuinely be if he was on a good team, I actually don't know. I have no idea what his success would be, because every time he plays against the Jets, again, on an abysmal Coyotes team, he's fantastic. Coming into this game, he was a 9.59, a 9.59 against the Jets. As well as tonight, I don't have the stats up in front of me immediately. I can pull it up real quick. Let's see. But either way, he was fantastic for them and kept them in the game for sure. He was a 9.17 tonight. Very good. 2 goals against, 22 saves, 24 shots against. Which also, I'd like to see the Jets get more than 24 shots, but as I said, I'm more just happy with their ability that they had to lock it down tonight. It was a little shaky, but I think that we know that the Jets can score goals, so locking it down was a much bigger thing. So in regards to that, kind of moving on, just to reiterate the things I thought that the Jets did well. They had a really good start tonight, which is something we've been wanting to see since the start of the season. They've been a lot better recently. They kept their breakdowns to a minimum, I thought. Even when they did have the breakdowns, it didn't seem like they were incredibly dangerous, other than, of course, the one ridiculous goal. And I thought their team play was really well tonight. Again, going back to the start of the game, the amount those one-touch passes were just absolutely insane. So fantastic. I try not to swear, my bad. But yeah, again, great game team-wise. Going back to the game, what was it, against the Sabres, where the Jets didn't play that great. One of my issues was that it felt like it was more of an individual game. Tonight, they were really good at using their lines, making sure that they were able to create offense with a lot of passing as well too, which obviously gets the goalie moving, makes you more likely to score, makes you a more dangerous team. Improvement-wise, momentum was the main thing I thought. After that second period goal, it felt like the Jets took a little bit to get kind of back into their stride, and kind of let the Coyotes back into the game. Obviously, it let them back into the game. It was tied, but otherwise, the Jets were completely controlling play. So I would like to see a bit of an improvement on their ability to, kind of take the punches and roll with it. One of the things you'll see from, Stanley Cup teams like Tampa. You look at the Tampa game that the Jets played, it felt like Tampa every single time that the Jets scored, it wasn't like it ever wasn't a piercing in the armor at all. The Lightning, as a perennial playoff team, perennial playoff success team, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, went to the Cup the next year. Went to the finals the next year. That's very much one thing I can really identify is that they, when adversity comes, they just keep playing their game. So I'd like to see the Jets stick to that a little bit. And then the other thing, improvement-wise, Hellebuck did kind of have to keep the Jets in it a little bit here. I still think that they played really well, but I'd like to see them try to continue to get those breakdowns to a minimum. But otherwise, an all-around good game by the Jets. I was very happy with it, and coming into a game that's potentially a trap game, I think they did well to keep their foot on the pedal most of the game. I'm just gonna take a little sippy of water and check the chat one more time. Oh, there we go. Atacam man, Kuhlman over Gagne. Don't like that. I'm going to touch on the Gagne scratch in a moment, but I won't say it in a bad way. I actually disagree. I'm starting to like Kuhlman a lot more in his kind of bottom six role. I think I'm going to jump into that in a little bit. First, I just want to talk about that kind of first line, as well as Pierre-Luc Dubois. I mean, we give him not enough. I don't think we have given him enough credit for how he's come into this season here. Obviously, there was all this dumb stuff that happened over the offseason. I don't really blame him too much, considering I probably wouldn't have wanted to stay with Winnipeg while they were going through that, offseason of change, bringing in a new coach, and everything that happened last season. I don't blame him too much. We'll see if we're able to keep him, but again, big ups to him getting his 20th goal of the season this year. He has been... he's been incredibly good for the Jets this year, and has kind of, I feel like, taken on an identity, and kind of, I think his identity has kind of spread around to the Jets. Pierre-Luc Dubois is a player who is big, pretty skilled, but is not afraid to go into the rough areas and get down and dirty. He has been fantastic this year. He's not afraid to get down and dirty. But also at the same time, when the skill needs to come out, he's able to show up in big minutes. He's kind of transformed himself into that number one center. It was always kind of a flip-flop of who's the number one guy in Winnipeg. Is it Mark Scheifele? Is it Pierre-Luc Dubois? Pierre-Luc Dubois, in my opinion, has firmly cemented himself as the number one center for the Jets. And in my opinion, of the two of the guys, much more important to get signed long-term. We have to give him credit for kind of stabilizing Kyle Connor. Don't look now, but Kyle Connor is like, I had the stats up here a moment ago. Kyle Connor is leading the Jets with 53 points in 43 games. Actually, I think this hasn't even updated yet. So absolutely fantastic. He's got 21 goals. Remember when we started the season and we were sitting here going, what's going on with Kyle Connor? Why can't he score? He's got 21 goals. I'm pretty sure, is he not? Oh, he's second on the Jets, of course, behind Mark Scheifele. But I think that Pierre-Luc Dubois deserves a lot of credit for kind of giving Kyle Connor a stable, a partner that he's able to kind of rely on. And then also, just looking at the team, I think that he is exactly what the Jets needs when it comes to playoff. He fits perfectly the playoff mentality of a skilled guy who's going to work his ass off, is emotionally in the game, is going to be a pest and get under other guys' skins, and is going to score goals at the big moments. He has turned himself into a two-way force for the Jets. I really, really hope that we can keep him. I think that winning solves a lot of stuff, and so I'm pretty optimistic with it. But it would be a huge detriment to lose Pierre-Luc Dubois and what he brings to the Jets. I'm already, oh Jesus, we're already getting low on time. I got to keep rolling through this. Other than that, Nikolai Ehlers, man, like how can we not talk about this guy? Like, this guy has played 6 games since coming back from injury, and he's got 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points. He's joined that top line of PLD and Kyle Connor, and has been kind of exactly what they needed, in the sense of, they were always kind of looking for a third man on that line who's able to kind of pull his own, provide him another offensive threat to the line, but also be a part of what, stirs the drink and keeps them, keeps that line pressing. Like, this has the making to be a line that is one of the best in the NHL, and already is kind of right now. Nikolai Ehlers also has kind of revitalized that power play. One of the issues I thought that they were having early on in the year was that they were a little too predictable, having, Mark Scheifele on the left and then having Kyle Connor on the right. Kyle Connor was the trigger man, and everyone kind of knew that. And so there wasn't really the option. Teams were able to get in Kyle Connor's face a lot more, but I think that Nikolai Ehlers pulls a lot more energy over to that right side and provides a lot more, that left side, I guess, depending on your perspective, and provides the Jets power play a lot more movement and chaos, and is able to have a lot more, to be a lot more dangerous. When the puck goes over to Kyle Connor, he can one-time it. When it goes over to Nikolai Ehlers, he can take the puck, he can, skate it in with some speed, take the shot himself. He can, pass it into the middle for a tip shot from Mark Scheifele. If nothing's available to him, he can bring it back to Josh Morrissey, or put it down low to Pierre-Luc Dubois. I think having a lot of options on the power play allows a team to be a lot more dangerous, because there's so much more things that the defense has to cover for with only 4 guys. Obviously, there's going to be a hole left somewhere. All right. Again, great game. But now it's time to look a little bit forward. Obviously tonight, Morgan Barron came back from his illness. Glad to see he's feeling better. I don't think there's anyone else who is, officially suffering from illness at the moment. And the Jets are about to embark on a 5-game, 10-day road trip. As someone in chat earlier was saying, it's going to be, through the Atlantic, playing like Montreal, Toronto, Philly, among other teams, Ottawa as well too. And we got news today that both Mason Appleton as well as Logan Stanley will be joining the team for the road trip. Rick Bowness has said that they likely will not, won't be back anytime soon, but they're joining the team to start skating with them, which is a great, fantastic sign. I think we all kind of forgot in all of the, Villy versus Sandberg versus Capobianco versus Neil Pionk debate that Logan Stanley still is here. And like, I am not the biggest Logan Stanley fan, but I will admit he had a good start to the season. So I expect the Jets to give him a chance. I personally think that, Dylan Sandberg has proven that he deserves that spot a lot more than Logan Stanley does at the moment. But obviously, with injuries, you kind of do have to give the opportunity for guys to get back in. But that's my main point here with saying, talking about Appleton and Stanley, is how are these guys going to get themselves back into the lineup? The Jets have kind of worked their way off of, a merit-based system. Let's just start on the forwards end of things. Who do you take out for Mason Appleton? Like right now, let's just go through the bottom 6 right now. So tonight, Morgan Barron, Adam Lowry, and Carson Kuhlman. Morgan Barron has been a guy that the Jets have liked since the start. He's a big body. He's able to control possession really well. He forechecks hard. And as Rick Bowness said, if he just keeps going into the front of the net, if he keeps playing hard, the points are going to come. And he's been scoring pretty well. He's also a mainstay on the PK. I see no reason for Morgan Barron to be out of the lineup. Adam Lowry, I'm not even going to talk about him. He's in the lineup. Like that's a foregone conclusion. And Carson Kuhlman's a guy who the Jets have really liked. We've heard reports for a long time that the Jets have been really interested in him. I think that he, he does have his faults. Not great at the finishing side of things. In my opinion, just was really poorly cast in the top six. I'm not sure why he played there, but now that he's kind of moved down to the bottom six into a more possession-based, lock it down kind of role, I think he actually looks a lot better there. I think he looks good on the PK. He provides the Jets a lot of energy. Is a good skater, and I have no issue with him being a part of the bottom six. I'd prefer him on the fourth line, but it is what it is. Then you have Axel Jonsson-Fjallby, who's really come into his own in the past few games. Like, him and Kevin Stenlund, since they've been paired together, have been absolutely phenomenal together. Even tonight, like, there's just little things that I keep seeing and pointing out, I like internally, that I keep seeing from him that I really like. Things like his speed, the way he kind of cancels out icings a lot, is able to give the Jets another facet of speed in that bottom six, which I think is pretty important to not get kind of run over by the other team. Kevin Stenlund, who, I have not stopped singing his praises on this show. I absolutely love the guy. I don't want him to miss a game for the rest of the season. I think he's going to be very important to the Jets, and I actually think he kind of fills that Sam Gagner role of a very versatile guy that Rick Bowness can kind of put into any spot, any position here. And then Saku Menelainen, who coming out of camp had a really good camp and got a lot of momentum coming out of that. As the time's gone on, I'm not his biggest fan, I'll be honest with you. But the Jets seem to really like him. I think he provides a lot of value on the PK, but at 5v5, I think he's a bit of an anchor. He's just not that fast. His physicality is nice to try, there is value in the energy that physicality brings, but he's just not my favorite player personally. And then Sam Gagner, who again was scratched tonight, a guy who's he's not necessarily the same prototypical bottom six guy, but I think that it's important to have a guy who can provide a bit of an offensive punch on the bottom six. I don't think same thing with him and Kuhlman. I don't think he's cast properly if he's playing in the top six. But I think that he's able to give the Jets a lot of, give the Jets some offensive punch on that bottom six. And you know what? As much as this is anecdotal, he scores timely goals. Like, he scores good goals for the Jets when they need him. He ends up scoring. I think he's got 2 game-winning goals this year already too. We all love when Mr. Brightside plays at the CLC. So I don't expect him to be, dropped or not dropped, but put down to the minors or anything like that. And he was scratched tonight. Like, where do you fit a guy in there? I'd imagine Appleton eventually comes in and plays kind of in that Carson Kuhlman spot. I wonder if Kuhlman gets pushed down to, gets put on waivers eventually. I doubt it, because like I said, I think that they really like him. But I personally wouldn't put Jonsson-Fjallby. I wouldn't put Stenlund on waivers. I wouldn't put any of those guys there. And it seems that like they really like Menelainen. So I don't really know what solution is there. But yeah, the Jets are going to have to make some decisions at some point once those guys come back. And then obviously, as I kind of stated on the back end, I don't know. Eventually, I think Capobianco is going to be put on waivers. I think it's just kind of the writing's on the wall. With this whole Villy called or sent down because of all the illness stuff, I expect him to be called back sooner rather than later. But obviously, Logan Stanley coming back into the mix obviously provides much more of a confusion. I would expect someone on the back end to be moved as a part of a trade deadline trade. Hopefully it's not Villy, or hopefully it is Villy, because that usually means that the trade is for someone who's actually really good. In those cases, I'm all for it. But I think Dylan Sandberg's kind of solidified himself in that top 6 on the defense for the Jets. But like I said, the Jets are about to embark on a little bit of a road trip. List will be back with you guys on Tuesday when the Jets face, I believe it's the Senators. Let me just pull it up in my calendar very quickly. Yes, when they play the Montreal Canadiens. And then on Thursday, we're going to have a real fun show where I'm going to yell at Steve Dangle all night, tell him the Leafs stink and the Jets are awesome. Hopefully the Jets can pull one out for me that night. And then, they're in Ottawa on the Saturday. Sunday, they're in Philly. Long road trip ahead. But hey, thank you all for tuning into to Game Over Winnipeg. This is a fun show. Hopefully the Jets can keep rolling. Their first place in the West. I never thought I would say that on this show. I'll be honest with you. I'm real happy. Anyways, though, hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Hope you guys have a good rest or start to your week. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy your night.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.